This is the third time. This is the third time. Third time
Okay.
that I have filmed this video. I will not be silenced. I will not be silenced. So we're here to talk about yoga. Let's get into it. I'm Sierra. I'm on your screen. Sierra on screen. Okay, let's go. So I keep seeing these conversations online about yoga. I did not even want to finish this video. I almost did not finish this video. But not only did I wake up in the middle of the night like a week ago with thoughts about this particular video after feeling an inkling inside that I should talk about yoga and Christianity, but also as I was filming this video the first time, and then I stopped for a little bit because my roommate woke up and I was talking to her, and I also feel awkward recording when someone else is awake. We're awake, well, she's up, we talking, and I get a text from my mom about yoga and Christianity. And I'm like, girl, why would you send that to me? So clearly, God is like, finish this video. So here I am. I'm Sierra. I'm a Christian. I became very serious about my faith in like 2023, changing my life, came out of New Age. For those who are not Christian and watching this video and you don't know what New Age, think of New Age as your crystal girly, tarot girly, horoscope, astrology, chakra, meditation, manifestation, shadow work, uh, yoga, Buddhism, mixy mix of all the things, girly. Somebody into all of it. Um, and picking and choose out of all those things. And I named all those things because those were all like things that I had done or had interest in. So yes, the legs are up now. This has just been a series of unfortunate events. It's late at night. I got my snuggie thing on. I have work in the morning, but I'm going to finish this video and it's going to come out immediately. Um, but back to me being a new ager. Yeah, mix all that stuff together. That was me. That's what I was into for multiple years. Getting deeper and deeper into all the stuff. Um, girl, yeah, trying to get my third eye opened, trying to get my chakras balanced, not overactive, but not underactive. The people who know. Doing my shadow work, my root. The people who know, okay? All the books on chakras, all the things. And then I was like going down that path. Um, and God basically was like, hey, you giving all these other things your attention, you're investigating all these other religions. What about me? Give me a chance. So I was like, sure. Well, I wasn't like, I was like, what the heck? Because the sign was very crazy. It's too specific for me to get into now. But I was like, okay, that's a sign of any. You're talking to me. So let me do this thing that you asked me to do. Let me read it. At least let me read the Bible at least. Start reading, start changing my life and going down this journey. Me and God, we locked in. Okay, we weren't locked in immediately, but we were slowly getting locked in. We were building the relationship. Okay, the relationship's built, we're still building, but that's where I am. Okay, very serious about my faith, have a relationship with God. Do not just call myself a Christian or grew up Christian but don't know what the Bible say, don't follow it, don't try to follow it. That's not me. I'm walking this walk. But know a lot about this other stuff because I was very interested in it and I was walking that walk because I've always been a girly that likes to do my research and know what I'm talking about. So, I was into yoga. I actually wanted to be a yoga teacher for a little second. Wanted to do a little Beck from you thing, and make some extra money that way. Thought it'd be a good side hustle to my main hustle, which the main hustle is tomorrow, but it's okay. Hopefully, I get this done soon. That's not the subject of this video. But I keep seeing these conversations online about, can Christians do yoga? Is yoga demonic? Is it that big of a deal? It's just exercise. people are blowing it out of proportion. Da 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 da. As someone who is walking this walk, but also knows a lot about yoga, the things, was all up into that world, the spiritual world. I wanted to talk about it and put my 2 cents in. Wanted to, and also am being told to. So, and I'm doing my job. So let's get into it. Yoga. Uh, Before we start, I think it's really important to get into a couple of things that I saw that like prompted this conversation. One, and I'll put some clips of it somewhere in here at some point. But one of the things I saw was this dude being dragged on Pop the Balloon because he basically popped on this girl because she was into yoga. And she was offended. She was like, I'm a Christian. I love God. And he was like, okay, a lot of people love God and do stuff that they shouldn't do, and I'm popping my balloon on you. And people were dragging him in the comments. People were stitching this video. Like, it was a whole thing. Um,
Just a false spirit. And I know you seem happy, but I was in that and I wasn't happy deep down inside. And I know at the end of the day, I just want to say Jesus loves you. He wants a relationship with you, but there's a false spirit there. It's a Kundalini spirit. And yeah, that's why I popped. I feel for you. I've been there. I've been in the new age before. Yoga is you're bowing down to false gods. Don't know if you know that, but I'm saying this because I care about you. But yeah, that's why I popped. Okay.
Response for that?
Oh, thank you so much. I love Jesus
Okay.
as well.
You know, he says, a lot of people honor him with with their mouths, but they're far from him. And that's kind of like the situation. A lot of people say that they fear God, they love Jesus, but then their life doesn't actually show it. And
Oh, my
so,
life does show it.
okay.
All right. Now, is he someone that's your type?
He is someone we can go to church together. Definitely, definitely.
Gotcha.
Please let me know where your church home is.
Of course. Just definitely wasn't doing yoga, girl. Okay. It's just
so there was that. And then I also saw this other video of like those Christians that think everything is demonic. And like they like mentioned yoga in it too.
Dude, bro, what are you doing, bro? Stop.
Bro, are you doing yoga?
Yeah? What's wrong with that?
Dude, yoga's demonic. Bro, the spirits and the bowls and the Buddhists and oh my god, dude, you gotta stop. That's so demonic, bro. You have to stop, bro. You have to stop.
Let me actually pause. I am coming to you all with love in my heart, with experience. I want to make this as digestible as possible for non-Christians and Christians as well. I get it. If you're not Christian, you're not going to do what Christians say to do or not do, which makes sense. You're not Christian. So like, I get that. But for people who are claiming to be Christian, what's going on? Like you should be doing what you're supposed to do. But is yoga something you're not supposed to be doing? I think we should back up a little bit and talk about where yoga comes from and not be like weird colonizers that are removing it from its history. Yoga is deeply intrinsically linked to Hinduism. You do not have yoga without Hinduism. Hinduism is the root. That's where it comes from. There are 6 major like schools of thought. Darsanas are what they called. I will correct myself in the editing process with any issues I make. But if I do not correct myself right now, they're Darsanas. Editing Sierra here. So close, but so far. It's Darshanas. Darshanas. Okay? Oh my goodness. And there are 6 major ones. Like karma is one that people have heard of a lot. There's one called like jnana. I can like name them right here, but yoga is one of those.
Did you know that yoga is one of the 6 schools of thought, or darshanas, of Hinduism? The goal is union with the divine. Yoga is from India, the spiritual homeland of Hinduism, and is mentioned in various Hindu scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita discusses 4 types of yogas: knowledge, action, devotion, and meditation.
And yoga is actually like one of the oldest tenets of Hinduism, one of like the oldest forms of worship of Hindu gods. And where this data and information comes from, I'm not getting this from no like Christian sources or whatever. I'm getting this straight from Hinduism American, like Hinduist websites, um Brown Girl magazine, like I'm not I think it's important for you to also understand the history from people who are legit Hindu, so you understand that when Christians are like, "Hello, this is spiritual," they're not dragging it, right? So, when I was practicing yoga, um always been interested in it, was doing it for many, many years, and my mom has sent me one of these videos. Okay? One of the videos where they're like, Hinduism is demonic, da da da. And you know what I did? I ignored it. She pissed me off when she sent it to me. She knows dang well the way I responded. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is a lie. Like, you're always sending me people who don't know what they're talking about, da 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 da. And like I went about my business. Went back to yoga because at this time I was practicing yoga regularly. Insert receipts of me talking about yoga here. And I go back to my class and I'm uncomfortable in class, y'all. Okay. I cannot stop thinking and ponder. I'm like, what if she's right? Like, what if I am like worshiping other gods? What if like God isn't happy with what I'm doing here? And keep in mind, like, yoga was my peaceful thing. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Like, when I did yoga, that's when I felt calm. Like that's when I felt what people were supposed to feel after meditation, during meditation, like what people were supposed to feel during prayer. Like I felt that during yoga. I felt my mind at peace. So it wasn't just like a physical thing. Because one, yoga was the only way I liked to exercise like my entire life. But it was for my mental health, and I felt like my spiritual health as well because at this time I understood that yoga was spiritual. I knew it was from Hinduism. I knew that history. But what I didn't know was how intrinsically linked it was to worship. Yoga is not just a spiritual practice, but it is linked to worship. Let's get a little deeper into that. A lot of the asanas, the yoga flows, they're associated with specific Hindu gods. There are thousands and thousands of Hindu gods. I think there might be like well over 30,000 or something, or is it 3,000? There's a lot, okay? I will correct myself in the comments because we finish in this video, okay? There are thousands of Hindu gods. Um, and a lot of what you just think is a normal yoga pose or just like a regular flow, they're associated with those gods. Great example of flow that everyone's done if you've done yoga before is the sun salutation pose. Or not sun salutation pose, the sun salutation flow. And when I say flow or the asanas, the flow is like that specific sequence of stretches and movements. So a flow, you're not like doing a flow on accident. Like that's when you're going like downward dog to like up. And then you're like standing up and like arms up, like it's like boom, 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 boom. You're doing it in a specific sequence. Just making that super understandable to like anybody watching this. Because I want this to be digestible. Um, so those are associated with specific gods. It's very common for the sun god to be worshipped. Um, and the sun salutation is worship to that specific god. I'll picture them here. Um,
Yoga postures and breathing exercises. The two limbs that are most commonly associated with yoga today all have Sanskrit names. Yogic texts, like the Yoga Sutras, were written in Sanskrit, the classical language of Hinduism. Many yoga postures are named for Hindu deities and sages. The sun salutation, or Surya Namaskar, is rooted in worship of the sun. Hindus have long worshipped the sun as essential for life.
And it's not just that one, a bunch of flows that, and there's not even just worship to those specific gods, but it's also sometimes reenactments of certain things in or from Hindu mythology. So there is no removing yoga from Hindu gods. Like there just isn't. Like, are you okay? Um, so it's interesting when people will say it's not that deep, it's just exercise, blah, blah, blah. Even Hindu people themselves will talk about yoga's not exercise. Like, it's actually insulting. That's why it's so interesting that I was seeing like people argue about this, and like specifically like people of color, like because Pop the Balloon's kind of a black show. I don't know how many black people watch. I don't know who's watching, but Pop the Balloon is like the black people watch that, okay? And black people were arguing about yoga and how it's not a big deal. And I'm like, hello, we more than anybody understand that just because the West is doing something and acting like it's nothing doesn't mean it's not intrinsically linked to other things. It doesn't mean there isn't a broader history. We know better. We know how colonization works. We understand how capitalism works. You're trying to make a big buck. You're not trying to like make people spiritually enlightened. So of course you're going to remove that from all of its history to in a way to make it profitable. But just because the West in the US is moving this from all of its history doesn't mean that history doesn't exist. And that's what I really need people in general to understand, not just about yoga, but with anything. Just because you're not knowledgeable about the history attached to this subject does not mean that there isn't a history to be learned there. Perfect example. Again, I'm black. Hello. And when we talk about hair and like cultural appropriation and how annoying it is when other people of other races are able to take our hairstyles and it's like cool and popping on them, but we literally get kicked out of school. We get fired from our jobs. Like examples on the screen. Like it's not, oh, cultural appropriation is a big deal just because we say so. No, there's history attached as to why hair specifically is a sore subject. You can see in current history and past history the way that hair has been used against black people, the way that it has been a way to punish us, to keep us out of rooms, to make us seem unprofessional, etc., etc., etc. But then when Kim Kardashian wants to wear boxer braids, it's super cool and it's on the cover of a magazine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just because you don't know that does not mean there's not something to know. Literally, and also while we're talking about hair, a couple years ago, was it a couple years ago? A year and a half ago, a lady at work touched my hair. At work. I had new French curl braids and she was touching on my hair. We should know in 2025 not to touch black people's hair. But again, I don't know what she know and don't know. And I let her know. I sent her some links. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to like educate. Also, we at work. I'm not gonna like cuss you out at work. But it's like just because you don't know something does not mean there's not a history attached. We know that as black people at the very least. So I don't know why you're trying to act like yoga's not that deep. Yoga is part of a whole religion. Y'all are disrespectful, okay? But then adding another layer to it being that deep, Christianity, and let's back up a second. Christianity don't play well with other religions. I don't know why people like to ignore that fact, pretend that fact don't exist. Christianity does not play well with other religions. What do I mean by that? I mean, in Hinduism, for example, pluralism is a big thing, right? That meshes fine with Hinduism. That's not my opinion. Look at the screen. Pluralism is the belief that there are multiple paths to the divine. Plenty of people believe that. A lot of New Agers believe that. That's why they mix and match different concepts of different religions, okay? But in Christianity, our God, which we believe is the one true only God, he says within his own words, Jesus' own words, that there is no other path to God, that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to the Father except through him. Those are his exact words. So I don't understand you as a Christian thinking that you can do pluralism. Clearly, you're not a Christian. I'm sorry. Like now that it's nighttime, I'm getting a little more direct with my points. Okay, because again, this is take number 3. But Hinduism in Christianity don't vibe. Don't vibe. They're like this. Christianity don't vibe with none of these other religions. God makes it very clear in his commandments. Well, the first one is don't have other gods before me. Isn't that the first one? It's either the first, or the second, or the third. But one of the main ones is do not have other gods before me. Another verse, he talks about do not worship me like the pagans worship their gods. You can think of pagans in the Bible as anybody who's not Christian. At the time of this verse, it was the Jews, but you know what I mean. Christ claim. I don't want to confuse y'all, okay? But we talking about Christians, okay? You're not supposed to have other gods before him. He talks about being a jealous God. He talks so much about idols, idols, idols. How all these people of different lands had other gods that they worship, blah, blah, blah. And he hates that. He hates that. He talks about how your other gods are deaf and dumb. They cannot see, they can't hear, they can't help you, they're worthless, they don't exist. And to make another element to that of the depth of this issue, if you are to believe what the Bible says about these other gods, they're not just false gods, they're demons. They're demons that are tricking people into worshiping them. So, when you're doing yoga, that literally means that Sanskrit word where yoga comes from, it literally means to unite or to yoke with. You're uniting yourself with these Hindu gods. You're yoking yourself with these Hindu gods. What does it mean to unite yourself? What does it mean to yoke yourself? You're letting them in. They're becoming one with you. The belief in Hinduism is that this brings you to a higher consciousness when you are becoming one with this God. It brings you close to Brahma. Hello, hello, hello. Like what's not clicking? You're doing that, and then at the same time, you're saying that Jesus is your God. Jesus don't want you doing that. Are you okay? Jesus literally says that you are supposed to be set apart, that you are not supposed to worship other gods. In what world is he okay with you uniting yourself and yoking yourself to these other gods of Hinduism? What are we talking about? That does not make sense. Secondary point, a lot of arguments that I see online is like, well, like that's not my intention. It matters if your intention is good, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I get it. As a former astrology manifestation, witchy girly, I did not mean it to be witchcraft at the time, but it was, okay, flat out. I was doing all kinds of stuff, all kinds of magic. My bad. Okay, I've already repented. That's a whole other thing. But the big thing when it comes to like witchcraft and like whatever new age stuff is your intentions. It's like you have good intentions, it's good. Like you gotta like go with things with good intentions. Um, there's like those like sort of rules, and I need you to understand, which I don't. I we understand this concept in other things, but we don't when we're talking about this. Didn't we just recently learn, like as an internet, that like you should still apologize to somebody if your intention wasn't to hurt them? Because intentions aren't the end all be all. Didn't we just learn this, like as a collective internet? That's why y'all be like yelling at people to apologize when they disrespectful or whatever, because your intention doesn't matter. Da da da. So then why are you turning around and being like, well, God, it's not my intention to worship them? Then what do you call what you're doing? That's my thing. What do you call what you're doing? Because I have follow up questions. The time that you're giving to your yoga practice, do you give that time to God? The way you're fighting about your ability to do yoga and that you should be able to do yoga, that time that you're spending to argue that, have you spent even half of that with God? The anger you get when someone says that yoga is demonic, do you feel that anger when they insult who's supposed to be your God, Jesus Christ? I'm asking you these questions not to attack you. Again, my mom sent me that video about yoga being demonic 2 years ago when I was deep into my yoga practice, and I was pissed. Pissed. So I am not speaking of a I'm better than you. I was literally right where you were at. Literally right where you were at. Yoga was my God. When I was stressed, I was like, ooh, I'm not feeling zen right now. I'm stressed. I got to do yoga. I wasn't praying. I was doing yoga. Okay? So I need us to be aware. And what's worrying is the way people get so upset and insulted when they're hearing something they don't want to hear. Real life comparison. If you was vegan and you was trying to avoid meat and dairy and all the things, and somebody let you know a food that you liked had meat in it or dairy in it, how you gonna be mad at them? Wouldn't you be happy? Because aren't you trying to avoid it? Wouldn't you, as a vegan, want to avoid the meat and dairy? So wouldn't you be happy to learn that, dang, that thing I've been eating has animal products in that? Now that I know, I'm going to avoid that because I don't want to eat animal products anymore. Isn't that a normal response? Like you can be upset. You could be like, dang, that was my favorite food. All that is valid. You can be upset. You can grieve your favorite food. You can feel grieved that you like, dang, I care about the animal welfare. I can't believe I've been eating this and still participating. Like, I feel so bad. You can feel convicted, right? Convicted is an inner thing because the person telling you that, they're not trying to shame you. They're trying to give you that information, right? And you might feel a little, ooh, I'm so upset that I did that. I did not know I was doing that. But you can forgive yourself because you didn't know and you can move on. Y'all don't do this with yoga. Y'all don't do this with other sin. Y'all get pissed at the messenger. You got pissed at the people around you. And like, I need us to get real because a lot of people are more concerned about calling themselves a Christian than actually walking as a Christian. And here's the thing, too. Whatever the perceived benefit of this thing, you, I was in your shoes with the yoga. The potential harm it could do to my relationship with God was not worth my perceived benefit of yoga. And I'm saying perceived benefit for a reason because in this part is for like the Christian specifically. All this is for anybody, but if you're not Christian, you're going to be like, what do you mean? But for those of us who are in Christ, like walking within Christ, all those benefits that you would be getting from yoga, you would be getting from him. You should be getting from him. You should not be turning to yoga to make you feel calm and feel better. In the same way where you shouldn't be turning to drinking to make you feel better. Drinking could also be an idol, right? Idols don't actually have to involve another religion or other gods to be idols. An idol can be your man. You'd rather God says you're not supposed to be sleeping with your man. You sleep with your man anyway because you love your man more than God. Boom, he's your idol. Like, there we go. Click. Like your phone. You spend way more time on your phone than you do talking to God, thinking about God. And first thing you wake up is your phone. Last thing you think about going to bed is your phone. You get freaked out if you don't have your phone. You need your idol. Boom. Like anything can be an idol. Anything. But yoga is quite literally an idol if you're a Christian. That involves a whole other religion and whole other gods. I don't understand why this is even a conversation. Why are we still talking about this? Why are we still talking about this? And then why are you getting mad when other people are like, yeah, I don't partake in that? That's another problem that y'all are having. God says this not about non Christians, not about the agnostics, not about the atheists, not about people in other religions. He's talking about Christians. He says, for my people perish for lack of knowledge. Do y'all understand what the word perish means? You are destroyed. Utterly destroyed. Perish. Devastated. Okay? He said, for my people, Christian people, think of that as Christians. for my Christians perish for lack of knowledge. Y'all are too comfortable. And let me get closer. I'm getting closer for dramatic effect. Y'all are too comfortable letting your pastor think for you, letting TikTokers think for you, letting people on YouTube think for you. They're telling you, this isn't demonic. This is demonic. This is okay. This isn't okay. At the end of the day, your relationship with God is yours. It's personal. And at the end of the day, when we die, which 100% of us die, we're all gonna die. When it's you and him, you cannot blame your missteps on these people. Because he's gonna ask you, why didn't you come to me about it? Why didn't you pray? Why didn't you read your word? Why did you choose to be blind and choose to do what you wanted to do? Instead of seeking the truth, not the truth that you wanted, but what the actual truth was. You didn't look for it. And when we say that, like, God knows our heart, God knows my heart, God knows my intentions. It's so funny when people say that because you're 1000% right. God does know your heart. He knows the time that you have in the day and the time that you spent going on TikTok, going on YouTube, watching videos of people doing their nails, watching videos about Love Island drama, and the time you didn't take into investigating that claim that somebody said on the Bible that you just took as truth and you didn't look into at all. He knows you did that. He knows how much time you put into everything else and don't give him a lick of prayer time. He knows that you cared about yoga more than you cared about a relationship with him. I don't know that. I don't know the time you have in the day. I don't know what you're doing with your time. I don't know what your heart says, but God literally does. You're right, he does. And you're going to be judged accordingly, y'all. Like, that's why I'm saying this, not to if you want to do yoga, that's your business. That's your business. But for you to act like in any sort of capacity, by the word standard, by what God says about himself, by his character that is proven by the Bible, by what we know about the history of yoga in Hinduism, how could you say that the Christian God, Jehovah Jireh, I'm sorry, Lord, I don't know all your names. Hold up. Jehovah Jireh, your provider, the King of Kings. Oh my goodness. The King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Jehovah Jireh, the Alpha and Omega. You cannot tell me with a straight face that he's like, yeah, I don't care about yoga. I was convicted for yelling at my roommate. And I didn't even yell at her for real. Like, I barely yelled at her. And in my opinion, she was in the wrong in that situation. Okay? Because it was something that we had talked about multiple times. She did it again. So I was like, this is my last straw. And I freaked out a little bit. And I immediately felt convicted. And I'm like, and I didn't even like raise my voice. I didn't curse at her, nothing. And I felt convicted about that. You know why? Because I'm not supposed to talk to other people like that. I was like, I was talking you crazy. I'm sorry. We don't talk to each other in this like that in this house. Like, that was not okay. Like, I'm just really frustrated because like we talked about this before, blah blah blah. And like we had a conversation about it, right? But I felt convicted by that. God cares that I was talking rudely to my roommate. God cares about that. You don't think he cares that you're participating in one of the oldest tenets of a different religion that is one of their oldest forms of worship? Are you okay? Like, genuinely. Are you okay? Like, are we okay? Like, are we using the like brains that we have, the cognitive function that we have. Because the thing is, I respect if you like, I don't care nothing about that. Period. Okay? Because you don't have to do nothing you don't want to do. You don't. That is your right. My thing is, I just want us to make decisions and know what we're doing. If you're going against God, know that you're doing it. Okay? Head held high, chest up, and walk in that opposite direction if you want to do that. And also, sorry, side note, personally, for me, I'm not even trying to like go there, but out of like all the things to offend God for, yoga is like so like not worth it for me. I'm like, if I'm gonna do something, I'm actually I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that, but I'm just saying there's more fun things to be sinning with that ain't yoga, okay? So I don't know why y'all dying on this hill. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we, guys? Guys, what are we talking about? What are we saying? What are we saying? So yeah, I if I'm the billionth person that's for you to see on your timeline, or the first person for you to see on your timeline, yes, yes, yoga is that deep. I am so sorry to burst your bubble. I apologize that I gotta be the one to break this to you. Don't be mad at me. Okay, hold on. I'm getting my tea. You know, don't don't jump me. Don't jump me, okay? I'm just trying to help you out, okay? Yes, yes, yoga is that deep. Yoga is that. And don't even get me started on all the people who do ministry where they're like casting out demons and stuff. How so many of them talk about people getting demons from yoga. That's a whole other thing. If you don't believe in that, well, if you're not a Christian, I understand like why you don't believe in that. But if you are a Christian and you don't believe in like casting out demons and stuff, what's going on? Jesus died and was resurrected in 3 days and cast out demons himself. And you're like, yeah, I don't believe that happens today. That's not biblical. So that's a whole other issue that we don't have time for today. But yeah, y'all. No, no, you cannot do yoga. In conclusion, no. Oh my goodness. Actually, hold up. One more thing. Christian yoga. There is no Christian yoga. Okay? There is no Christian yoga. I was talking to the and see this is what's like crazy, and maybe I just like don't have enough faith in myself. I don't know because I be assuming like because I just now like got in a church, even though I've been saved for a second. I've like for the first time in my life been in a church because I was not raised in the church. Okay, was not raised in the church at all. So I assume that like people who were raised in the church have been Christian, like seriously Christian, longer than me, perceived to be that they like know more than me. So when I was talking to this girl at my church about Christian yoga, I was confused because I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know. I didn't know people was actually thinking like Christian yoga was a thing. And I'm like, as somebody who legit wanted to teach yoga, what are we talking about? Like what are we talking about? What are we talking about? So she was asking me, and if she sees this, hi girl, good to see you. But she was like, well, like don't do what do you think about like people saying that you can like reclaim yoga for Christianity? Like, what do you think about Christian yoga? Like, blah blah blah. And I said to her, how can you reclaim something for Christ that wasn't created for him? Yoga's a Hinduistic practice. We're just gonna like erase the history and make up our own? What's going on? How can you reclaim something that was made 4,000 years ago, not for Jesus, not for the God of the Bible? It was not, that was not his. And God literally talks about he does not want us worshiping him like the pagans worship their gods. So why would he want that anyway? In his own words, why would he want that? We barely do the things he asks us to. Why are you trying to now make yoga for him? You want to do what you want to do. I didn't say this part to her. But people who say this nonsense. You just want to do what you want to do, so you throw Jesus on it. Jesus don't want that. What are you like? Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. And you know what? If you don't believe me, hold up one sec. I want to read this excerpt from this article on Brown Girl magazine. Okay. Because I had done all this like research into yoga when my mom burst my yoga bubble in 2023, and I was pissed about it. And I learned, dang, yeah, this is worship. I will not be doing this any longer. But I did some research again um for this video just to make sure I had stuff in the facts like at the front of my mind. I just wanted to make sure the facts were at the front of my mind as I made this. This is an excerpt from this article written by Rutu Patel called Yoga, the True Hindu Roots Behind the Western Trend. This was written in 2019. Also, actually, hold on. Let me read her first paragraph before I read the part about Christian yoga. She says, "My religion isn't your workout. It has been rooted in my religion for thousands of years as a practice to become one with God." Remember what I said about uniting with the Hindu gods, to practice to become one with God, and a way to heal our minds, bodies, and souls. My prayer beads aren't your accessories used for meditation. The purity of my prayer beads don't make for a nice necklace or bracelet. Om isn't a trendy noun for yogis. The sacred sound brings peace to the chanter and is not a name for your company's students. Yoga is a Hindu practice that cannot be stripped of its identity and given a new history. Okay? The blurb about Christian yoga. Finally, she's talking about all the like trends that had like was testing her patience. And then finally came Christian yoga, a practice that uses yoga to spread Christianity and takes it as its own. Bible verses are used to justify this new trend of yoga as a way to become one with their Lord and Savior. They believe yoga postures were founded in biblical scriptures before other religions were created, even Hinduism, a 4,000-year-old religion. Yoga's true identity became erased, and this is something I cannot ignore. Okay? She is not playing with y'all. Okay? Hindus are not playing with y'all. If Hindus, which is where yoga comes from, is like, what are we talking about? Yoga don't have nothing to do with no Christianity, and you can't slap him onto it. How am I the bad guy telling you that that's not a thing? There is no evidence to back up what you're saying. There is none. Stop it. Stop it. If you want to do it, just do it. But don't act like God said he wanted it, that he agreed, that he liked it, that he even cool with it. He actually says he hates this sort of stuff. Evidence here. He do not like you going to other gods for any other reason. That's like one of the main things he hates. That be what gets me. I'm like, have we read the Bible like at all? Like watch a podcast, like on the Bible, anything? Like I am very, very lost and confused. So, yes, in conclusion, the Christians telling you yoga is demonic, I'm sorry to break it to you. They are not lying. They are not lying. Okay? If you are a Christian, you should believe in demons. And if you believe in demons, you know that demons include them lowercase g gods, the gods that are not the gods of the Bible. So, yes, it is quite literally is demonic. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. If you believe in pluralism and you think that vibes with you also believing in Jesus, I'm also sorry to break it to you. It does not. It does not. You, he says himself that there's only one path. That there's only one path. He says himself. So you're putting words in his mouth and acting like, actually, it's fine to do multiple. You can believe that, but don't say he said that. He literally, quite literally said the opposite. Like, I'm so lost. Um, and yeah, I think this basically hit on most of the things I wanted to hit on. I had other examples of real life examples of things to make this more digestible, but honestly, I feel like this is digestible enough as it is, okay? Like, y'all are gonna take it or leave it, but I just want everybody to move with knowledge, right? I think there's this belief that like a bunch of Christians are like uneducated, they don't know what they're talking about. And when you look at some of the louder ones in the US or who claim to be Christians in the US, I understand where you get that from. But as someone who built a relationship with Christ as an adult, after investigating all these different religions, not surface level, oh my gosh, I go to yoga and not knowing about its Hindu roots, but legit learning about Kali, about Ganesha, about um oh my goodness, Shiva, like I knew what I was doing, okay? Well, I didn't fully know what I was doing, but I did not know context about that. I knew a lot of context about Buddhism. I knew a lot of context about chakras, how they work. Girl, I could name them right now. But I, after all my investigation, it led me to Christ. It did. I'm not someone who is a Christian because I was raised Christian. No, no. I learned about all the religions and Jesus makes sense. And I 1000% believe that if you look into him, look into the things, but just be open to truth. That's another thing. All of us are lying to each other. Clearly, a lot of people are lying to themselves cuz look at this yoga conversation. Like I hope the way that I explained this made sense. But be honest with yourself because that's where you find God. God can't deal with you and help you and be there with you if you're literally lying to yourself. You won't be able to see him. You won't be able to hear him if you can't be real. Right? There's a reason why God hates lying, and not just hates lying, but it is an abomination in his eyes. He does not play with lying. And one of the big deals, he talks that the devil is a father of lies, that the truth is not in him, and God is truth. That's what the Bible talks about, that God is truth. It's not just that he tells the truth, he is truth. So if you're coming to God, who is truth, and you're lying to yourself, he can't deal with that. What is he supposed to do with that? So be honest with yourself, be honest with God, be honest on your path of where you're at. And if you're like, God, I know I shouldn't be doing yoga, but like, I don't want to stop. Like, help me to love you more than yoga. That's a conversation you can have, but that's between you and God. You cannot act like you did not know better. God actually knows your heart. He knows that he made me make this video so that you would know better, and you still chose to not listen. So I hope you have a wonderful night, day, whatever it is. Know that you can always change your mind. I've done so much crazy stuff in my past, believed so many things that like is crazy to me now. Um, you can always change your mind. You can always be better. Um, yeah, love God first and love people the most after. Um, and yeah, good luck. Well, I need a less new agey way to say good luck. Godspeed. Bye.